everybody, let's talk about changing careers, namely how to change careers and how to overcome some of the biggest challenges you're going to face when trying to do this. Now, here's the problem that everybody has. Okay, you apply for a job in a different industry and your job application goes in and it gets screened by a recruiter. And perhaps understandably, the first question the recruiter has is, how many years experience do you have in this role? And invariably, your answer is going to be zero. I have zero experience in this role because you see, I'm changing careers. And inevitably, their answer comes back, I'm sorry, we're going to pass because you're not qualified for the role. You have no experience. And this is the biggest problem that most people face, and they can't overcome this. It's a catch-22. How are you supposed to qualify for a role because you don't have experience when you can't get experience because no one will ever qualify you for a role? Let's talk about how to solve this problem. There actually is a way to solve this. It's really not that hard. Let's get into it. Okay, first of all, just as a footnote here, why do recruiters always use the metric years of experience to see if you're qualified? Well, as I've mentioned before on this channel, it's actually a very, very convenient metric to use because someone who has no idea about the job themselves can immediately tell if you're qualified or not simply by asking that question. If you've done the job before for a long time, then you're obviously qualified. If you haven't done it before, then you're not qualified. You see how easy that was? And I know nothing about the job I'm talking about here. That's a very convenient side effect of this principle. However, in reality, the theory behind it is that, if you've done the role before, that demonstrates several things. It demonstrates that, first of all, you know what you're getting into. It demonstrates that you're qualified to do the work. You can do it. It also demonstrates that you're a fit for that kind of work if you've been in that role for a while because you haven't run screaming from the job and quit prematurely. It also demonstrates a few other things too. So in theory, it makes you a less risky candidate, okay? However, as most people can intuitively gather, although this principle is correct in theory, and it's correct in practice in a few situations, in the vast majority of roles out there, it's not correct. There are other factors that are much more important than how many years you've done the role before. So let's get into this. You'll have to forgive me also today. I'm a little bit under the weather. Now listen, I've worked across 5 industries, okay? Each one more horrifying than the last. Each one more arrogant than the last, I would say. Each industry that collectively believes that if you've never worked in this industry before, how could you possibly know what to do? The skills that we require here are not found anywhere else. So if you've never worked in this industry before, I'm sorry, how could you possibly be qualified to do it, right? That's not an uncommon attitude to have, actually. Now, what's the solution? What's the solution around this catch-22? Well, it's simply not to go through recruiters. This is something I've talked quite a bit about on this channel, okay? The problem is recruiters who generally are not subject matter experts in the roles that they're hiring for, they don't know anything about the job, so they tend to fall back on these easy metrics. By far the most important one is years of experience. Okay, as we all know, that's not really an important consideration if you have the constituent skills. So what you need to do is you need to get considered by somebody who understands the constituent skills and someone that will take you at face value for that. These people are usually hiring managers, and you can access them a couple of different ways, but they're under the umbrella of networking. Now, a lot of people don't believe me on this, but let me demonstrate something for you right now here. Let's see if I can do a split screen thing here. Okay, so we're at Google, right? And a good way to demonstrate this is by typing in methods to get jobs. How about that? Let's see what comes up. Okay, so we've got a couple of ads here. And the first The first real result here is from Indeed, Indeed.com. That's a pretty reputable website, or at least it's well known in the whole job search thing. Okay, the best ways to find a job. Now, look at number one. You would think that it would be to send in job applications because that's, after all, Indeed is a job aggregator website. But the first thing they list here is ask your network for referrals. Okay, so you're not sending in job applications, you're going through a personal network. What's the number two method that they list here is contact companies directly. Okay, now I advocate a combination of both of these, okay, because basically the approach that, and it's not only me, but a lot of people recommend, is to make those companies your network, to include them into your network through social networking sites like LinkedIn, and then contact the hiring managers directly, okay, and proactively. And this can achieve some incredible results. It's actually the way that people find jobs as you get higher up in the organizational hierarchy. So, okay, and then they list other things using job search platforms like Indeed, job fairs, et cetera, okay? Let's look at another result here. The second result is Investopedia, and that's a well-known website. Let's see what Investopedia says. Look at that. Number one method they talk about for finding jobs is networking. It's known as the hidden job market, right there in black and white. This is something that I get a lot of people challenging me on, especially when I use the word hidden job market. A lot of people deny its existence and deny that networking is actually the number one way of doing this. Now, there you go. Referrals is another way. So, okay, so I'm not making this thing up, okay? This is the way you change careers, okay? You avoid the catch-22 of not having experience in the industry you're moving to by not going through recruiters who primarily only look at years of experience as a metric for how qualified you are. Okay, that's the first thing. And incidentally, I have a course on precisely how to do this with scripts and step-by-step methods. Link in description. It's called my Get Hired course. But yes, I mean, if you're changing careers at 30, you're changing careers at 35 or at 40, okay, this is the way to do it, okay? You're going to pivot your career, and you're going to do this without going through the standard HR hierarchy. You don't send in an application to initiate the process. Instead, you contact a potential hiring manager at the organization and you talk to them. You say, hello, I'm here. I'm looking for a role, and I've always been fascinated by what you guys do. And from there, you could ask several different things. You could ask for an informational interview. You could say, I'd love to get your expert opinion on something. Would you be able to spend 30 minutes of your valuable time, and I could pick your brain about questions about your industry? Or you could ask, do you guys give tours or anything like that? I'd very much am curious about your industry and the particular work that your company does. That kind of thing. Or you could just ask them directly and say, like, I've got experience in this. I've got these qualifications, and I'm really looking to work in this type of role at your organization if you have any vacancies. So if ever you're looking for that, please let me know. And if you keep putting this out there and you keep contacting people, it does come back and you do get responses. Now, the reality is that everybody knows that if you have certain skills, it qualifies you to do many, many different things. Okay, one thing I have learned by working in 5 different industries is that the people who spend their entire career in those industries, they tend to think that the work that they do and the skills they have are unique, and you don't find them anywhere else. However, people who have worked across different industries, and you know what I'm talking about, you rapidly see that the people in these various different industries, they're doing the same kinds of work, drawing on the same types of skills. If you can follow procedures, if you understand how to follow administrative rules, if you know how to manage people, you know how to interoperate with people and collaborate with people, if you understand the importance of things like safety or things like quality, you understand how to manage money or how to manage projects. You understand in larger organizations how to ask for approvals and all this kind of stuff. If you understand basic public relations, procedures, and this kind of thing, these are universal skills that you will find in every single industry in various quantities, and they are not unique to any one industry. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm not talking about very specific jobs for which by law you need a license to do, okay? For example, you can't go from construction to being a medical doctor without getting requalified. I mean, there are laws that say you can't practice medicine without certain qualifications. Same with engineering and law and things like this. I'm obviously not talking about those, but I'm talking about the 99% of the other jobs out in the world that don't have those legal constraints on them, okay? A lot of people ask, do I have to go back and get education to change careers? And I would say no. In the vast majority of situations, I would say no, unless you're looking at an industry where in order to break into that, you legally need certain things, or the accepted practice is you need certain things. Like if you're working in government, they tend to require certain qualifications to do jobs just as a matter of policy. Okay, but that's a very specialized application. Now, a footnote I wanted to touch on, because I have gotten a few questions about this, is ageism. Okay, people have written in and they've asked me about ageism. I believe I'm experiencing ageism. What do I do about it? Well, here's what I would say. The only practical bit of advice I'm really going to give here is this one point, and that is that people tend to hire in their own image, and they tend to place value on people that resemble them. This, unfortunately, is an aspect of human nature. Accountants who are hiring tend to place value on candidates who have a lot of accounting skills. Okay, if you were hiring for a supervisor position, you could get many different types of people in that role, but they tend to value people that have the same skills that they do. And this goes for age too. If you're 60 years old and you're looking for a job, and the hiring manager happens to be 20 years old, this could be an element of the decision. Okay, they may place less value on you because you're a lot older than they are. And conversely, it also applies. If you're 20 years old looking for a job and the hiring manager is 60 years old, they will maybe place less value on you because you're 20. So this is a real problem. So the advice I would give is that if you're worried about ageism and you think this is an issue, try to go to potential hiring managers who are in the same age group as you. Apply for jobs where the people working at that job tend to be in your age group, and you will experience much less ageism than if you were not doing that, okay? And if you're wondering how to do this, once again, for career-type jobs, LinkedIn is an incredible resource, and if you are looking at your contacting people on LinkedIn, you can see their picture. You can see what they look like. You can tell if somebody's 20 years old or they're 60 years old or they're 120 years old, a lot of times by their picture. That's a dead giveaway. So that gives you an idea and allows you to try and get around the question of ageism if that's a concern to you. So that's something I want to say about that. Okay, I have many videos on this channel to go into the nitty-gritty details of precisely how to contact hiring managers. I have a playlist and specifically, let's see if I can follow my finger. I'll put it right here now. You want to check that out. That gives you some more details of precisely how to do this. And if you want the real full Monty, the shebang-a-bang, I have a course called Get Hired, link in description. Check that out. Always remember, you are awesome, and I'll tell you something, if you're changing careers, I take my hat off to you, figuratively, because the more broad your experience base, the more you've seen, the more your capabilities will increase. That's a great thing to do. Check out the playlist below in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching this long. You guys are awesome. And I will see you on the next video. Take care.